Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. Hello. And a quick pre-stream thank you to Lone Star McFluffin for the rating party and the resub. 15 months in a row, going strong. Glad to have you with us. And hi, Quiet. I was going pretty well with me. Yeah, I had a very busy week, and I start off with an apology. I did not prepare a build for this week properly. So we're going back 2 weeks, and we're going to do our Shadow Strike Surge build again, which I had a ton of fun with. And yeah, we're just going to do this again, and I promise I'll get my Bow Mage back together, or get my button gear for Bow Mage next week. That will happen. I promise. McFluffin! Yeah, so I came to McFluffin's stream like 10 minutes ago, maybe, to be like, hey, I forgot my build this week. You got a save I can borrow to show on stream. It was a long shot. It was worth a shot, I think. It's totally okay. I think you should try it after I try it, or with me. And so if this is your first time here, anybody, if you have questions for me, please put an @Last Epoch game in the question, like other people have been doing so far, and I'll be happy to answer it. Any questions about the game, other stuff too, but I prefer questions about the game for the most part. And all of the money, however it comes in through the stream, subs, donations, bits, cheers, audio playing things that are funny that make me laugh because I always forget about them. They all go to our charity, and our charity is a monthly rotating charity. In this month, we're sticking with oceans. It's a sleepy one. What is the state of your inside company toilets? Can people aim? Are they bad aimers? We need to know. Well, as a very special company, everyone has their own toilet. And everyone works from home, so everyone just uses their own toilets at home. So I do not know the state of everyone's toilet aiming capabilities. But I will say that is a unique question. We don't get very often like first-time questions. And that is the first time I've had a question like that, so love it. Alright, Quiet, my first question. How is your pepper garden and hot sauce is going? I regret to inform you that something happened with the weather this year, and our garden has... Our tomatoes are doing great. Huge tomato plants. Pepper plants, they're just runty. They're stunted. I've harvested one Thai pepper, which was really hot for a Thai pepper, which was good. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I've only harvested one pepper so far. I'm still holding out hope that they'll pick up. There is a flower on a Reaper plant and a flower on a Ghost pepper plant, but they're tiny plants, so I can't imagine them producing very big peppers. So we'll see what happens. Might be in a little bit too easy zone for this build. It's a little strong. I just kind of hopped in. Might do some dungeon runs today, maybe an arena run too. Why didn't you ask for McFluffin's turret werebear? I mean, I could take another weird build like that. I had planned for a Bow Mage build this week, and so that's all I was asking for. I guess it could have just been like, give me a build. Greetings, Shadow Dweller. Hi, I'm a French player. Just to say I love the game. Good job, everyone. Thank you very much. Welcome to the party. Do I have a loot filter set up? Yeah, I do have a loot filter set up. There's an easy way to check that, I guess. Yeah, there you go. Danklebs asks, is there anything happening with story rewards? Because I don't see much need to do story beyond getting the passive skills and idle slots. Will there be a reason to go to Act 9? Yeah, so there's this weird dichotomy that happens with the story. So it's really a useful way for us to get specific rewards in the hands of new players as you're leveling up a character, things that help you as you go, things that we know you're going to need at certain points in the game, stuff like that. So it's really useful for things like that, like giving you little boosts, little tangible long-term rewards like passive points and idle slots, things like that. It's tricky to hand out like really powerful uh, like quest rewards throughout the campaign, and because it creates this. So I'll go into the second. I just want to mention Dahariel. Thank you for resubbing 15 months in a row. That's a long time as well. You guys have been around for quite a while. I think that's the beginning. July development update. Ooh, you want a July development update? Interesting. I don't know if there's one in the works or not. But I'll ask for you after this. Oh yes, about quest rewards, campaign rewards. So there's this thing. People like making a lot of characters, and we want to make the campaign fun and useful to do. But having too much of it be like static and mandatory puts a little bit of handcuffs on us as far as like allowing for skips of subsequent characters, things like that. So we try and give rewards, but lots of the like hard character rewards that you can only get from the campaign, we try to make it so you can get them from multiple places in the campaign. That's sort of the general goal. That is nice. Not as nice as my other ones though. And they're saying, oh yeah, campaign rewards, and yeah. So we're I think there's going to be I know we have plans for more variety in quest rewards in games, specifically in the realm of gear rewards, which is one thing that we've never had. Is this like, oh, you've completed this, select one of these 4 pieces of gear, and we can put one of the really big things that are useful about that is that we can put things that are really specific in there and possibly a little tricky to get to enable certain leveling playstyles that weren't really very great before. So a good example of this, I think, is there's a point with throwing builds that you get to where they kind of drop off in the middle of the campaign, and I think that there'd be a really good quest reward at some point near the middle. There we go. Haha. There'd be a really good quest reward somewhere in the middle game where we could say like, okay, here's like a really specific only good for throwing builds item. Here's a really specific only good for like cold spell damage builds. You know, like, and we could put a few really specific items in there and a couple more generic ones. And I think it would let us get a little bit of a helping hand to a few builds partway through the campaign. I think there's a few spots that are good for that for a few different types of builds. But as far as specific incentives for Chapter 9, I'd like to see the campaign bosses just getting better drop rates in general, just dropping more stuff and getting better drop rates in general, so that you're like, okay, if maybe if my character's not doing amazing, that was cool, he just fell off the bridge. Maybe if my character's not doing amazing, bye. I love ragdoll on bridges. You can be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this boss and get a good chance of getting some sweet gear for my character to get into Monoliths easier or something like that. Which will just naturally happen to newer players because they'll do the whole campaign probably. Yeah. maybe a big drop boost for the first kill of campaign bosses. Yeah, like this is something Diablo 2 does, and I think it's really good. Where you have like quest, they're called quest drops. So when you complete Mephisto for your quest, he has it's a guaranteed minimum number of drops, is what it is. So Diablo 2's loot tables are quite brilliant, but a little weird sometimes if you don't understand what's going on. And so the number of items that drop is based on the number of players in the game and a die roll. So it'll be like, okay, well, if you're the only player in the game, you can have up to 5 items drop, and it rolls for each of those items. But if there's 8 players in the game, it's like guaranteed 7 items to drop or something like that. Like, I don't know what the actual numbers are. But when you complete it for a quest reward, if anyone is completing the quest, anyone in the party is completing the quest, it like sets the minimum number of drops that you're gonna get to a pretty high number. And just when you have more cracks at the bat, you end up with just better gear in general. Will there be Steam achievements for LE? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We didn't put any achievements in yet. Part of that is just it doesn't advance the actual game development at all. So we want to focus on the things that are really important first. And part of that is, I think it's... So the, like, 100%ing a game is pretty... Like, there's incentives there for sure. And we wouldn't want to have any achievements that were impossible to get to someone who didn't join during early access or something like that. So we'd have to be pretty careful with which achievements we did have. I think we figured it was just safer to kind of hold off. Whoa. An insect just landed on me and it startled me. So I was not expecting it. I do need to get into harder monoliths here because I'm just rolling through this right now. I'd be able to answer questions well then. Let's see what I got. Or one-time chests like in Grim Dawn. Yeah, we actually do have some one-time chest stuff already. I think it works better in general, unless like the chest is really thematically appropriate. I think it works better in general as a boss drop. Like, oh, the boss died, and like look at the loot pinata that happened, you know? Oh, Archer's Legacy. That's a cool helmet. I like this one a lot. Just extra companions. Not gonna pick it up because I've got dev mode. Of course, the big thing is multiplayer with 0.9.0, yes. But is there anything else that's coming in the patch that you're excited about? Yeah, there's lots of little things. What am I allowed to say? That's always that trick, isn't it? There's skill updates that are happening. I know some that are I know some that some people are really excited about. Like, yeah, there's new uniques, new skills, all sorts of stuff like that. Like, there's just a lot more. I don't think there's any major large systems planned at the moment. We're still quite a ways out, so new stuff could happen. Oh, love that item. That's one of the first items we added to the game. First uniques, very early on. The numbering scheme got reset at some point. So there was like we had like everything, all of the uniques were in like the order that we added them to the game. and we were at about 60 of them or so, and the number scheme got reset. So it's just like the first 60 in a blob, and then then they're in order after that. So it's hard to tell what's like the very first ones were just from like the order they were added to the list anymore. It's a sweet shield too. I like the way it looks. The scepter goes with it. My goodness. Boulder Fist. Yeah, these are not great uniques for me, but getting lots of drops, which is nice. Freedom!
Finally.
At least you're being honest about having dev mode? Yeah. I just, like... I don't have time to both work on the game and play enough to showcase different builds. And I figure most of the reason people are here is less to see me playing and more to ask me questions. Though me playing is just a chance that I get to play because I like playing and having fun. Big things coming in 0.9 that I'm really excited about. It's mostly just there's some skill reworks that have been on the books for a long time, and just a lot. There's just a lot of little things, really. It's actually not a bad base for a helmet. Crit, health, mana, love it. Multiplayer is a big game changer, really. There's just so much to do there. we do know that a lot of people won't play multiplayer or will still play single player only in like online or something like that. And so we do want there to be new stuff for people to do and have fun and everything. But we don't have like a new entire ground up system coming in or anything like that. So there's no like monolith dungeons, arenas. There's nothing like there's not like the fourth thing that would go in that category coming in this patch. I hope that makes sense. Oh. Ooh, 2 LP. Oh. Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. Oh, it's this guy. I'm like running away from my objective. Will we be getting cutscene skips sooner? Cutscene skips soon, or is it lower priority? There's only really two cutscenes right now, isn't there? I think that's something that generally is good to have. I'd be surprised if we don't add it eventually. I don't know when it'll happen if we do. Will the ladder get updated for group play and solo player for regular softcore and hardcore modes? I don't know what's happening with the ladder yet. We haven't talked about the ladder in months. I think I don't know what'll happen. It'll depend how much time we have. That's something we'd love to get nailed down. I do have it on a list to figure out. But just getting multiplayer working in time is more important. Fools. Fools. Alright. Hello, Mike. Will arena be instanced during the campaign? Will areas be instanced during the campaign in multiplayer? I think the answer is yes. So, like when you walk out into the world, like if you're not in a party and you're in this zone that I'm in right now, no one else can come into this zone without you saying it's okay. Like this version of this zone. So the only way someone could join you here is if you joined a party with them, and then they came into the zone. Other than that, there's no way for them to get here. And I mean, okay, there's another way. It's a real roundabout other way. So you could join a party with someone else, have them join this zone, you leave that party, and then them join the party that you were in with someone else. Yeah. Yeah, so yes, they're instants. Those are the weird, like, what happens if situations you got to be prepared for when we're like developing a multiplayer system like that. That's the hard stuff where you're like, what if someone tries to, like, okay, you're doing you're designing how the reward structure at the end of Temporal Sanctum is going to go, where you get to create a legendary item. Does one person get to make a legendary item? Does everyone get to make a legendary item? Probably everyone, right? Like that would make it the most sense and not suck. So you give everyone the ability to make a legendary item. Now, if someone joins partway through, do they still get their legendary? Do they have to join before the boss fight? Do they have to join before going into the reward chamber? Do they just have to join at some point? Do they have to? And then, like, if you don't put any restrictions on it, they can join whenever. If someone just like beats it and then goes stands in that room, can they just cycle people through their party coming to make legendaries and just have someone sit there in the zone? What do you do to stop that? And there's just all these like weird, quirky scenarios because you don't want it to feel like you're stopping people from playing or having fun or doing things, but you need to stop abuse cases where there's like clearly breaking of intentions of the game, you know, without messing with the people who are just playing normally. There's all sorts of tricky edge cases like that. One of those dope-looking B items coming. Don't have any details on specifics there. Did you say Ice Thorns rework? I did not say Ice Thorns rework. I wish I said Ice Thorns rework. Will there be more unique wands and catalysts? There seem to be fewer options than other item types. I only know of a couple specific uniques that are for sure going in because they're the ones that I've worked on. One of them's the chest that you may have seen footage of being worked on a different stream. I don't know, maybe. And a couple other little things too, but there might be some more wands and catalysts. I do agree that it's light. Daggers, I think, are also still pretty light. Nice LP item there. Woohoo! Beetle boy! Let's go, Beetle bro. Lead the way, I'll follow you! Question! Do you think that Mercenaries a la Diablo 2 have a place in Last Epoch? Probably not, at least not at 1.0. And if they are, how customizable might they be made, if ever? Inspired by that duo with Zarek during Chapter 8. Yeah, I do really like the Mercenary system in Diablo 2. I think it works really well, especially with the changes they made to it recently. Whew, yeah. It's something that we've discussed quite heavily and have intentionally steered clear of. The reason for this, I love 100% crit. My goodness. Part of the reason we've steered clear of this so far is this. We do have a very heavy emphasis on class identity. And one of the major things that we use to differentiate classes from each other is minions. And the idea of having a like a humanoid, like similar to you, follower, mercenary, someone that you're paying to be there, thematically fits really well with the Sentinel and not really well with almost anyone else, I think. Like a battlefield commander, that sort of thing. And as far as mechanical interactions go, there's certain classes that work a lot better with more things on the battlefield, so to speak. And one extra body isn't a lot in some situations, but certain people can take advantage of it way better than others. Now, the same is true in Diablo 2, but I think to a lesser extent, honestly. It's something that we might add. There's kind of a nod to it in the... There's an idol. There's a relic, sorry. That gives you a crossbow mercenary. So there's kind of a little nod to it there. But it's not very customizable. If we were to have one, I think the customization levels would be fairly similar to Diablo 2's. Diablo 3 is the same thing, really. Where you've got, like, a few slots, but not a full gear set type thing. Or maybe, like a skill tree. So instead of having a gear slot system, have it be like a skill tree. Like, they level up and you can pick skills for them, that sort of thing. Or maybe both. But it would... There's a lot of complexity that's there. And I don't think it's something we want. I know it's something we've decided we don't want for 1.0 at least. Did I go the wrong way? I may have gone the wrong way. Oh no, I went the right way. Never mind, not crazy. Well, a little crazy.
Fools. I cannot do that.
Try harder then. I don't have time. Does that mean you need some minions, interns, etc.? We have a lot of very talented people working on the game. Usually I have enough time to hammer it out myself. Like an evening that I just can make a build. I don't know. I quite often ask Reimer to do it. But I feel bad doing that because I know he's got so many more important things to do. Way more important things to do. Did you guys ever say what kind of trade system you are planning on implementing? No. D3 style, bind on trade, something like that. All I recall is no Bazaar feels bad, man, and no free trade. The trade system is still very much up in the air. We don't have anything set in stone hard yet. Nothing's implemented yet. We're still figuring out the best thing to do. There's a lot of conflicting requirements, and it's kind of a cursed problem. If you're interested and never heard of the term cursed problem, there's a sweet GDC talk about it. And curse problems are difficult to deal with, but not impossible. So there's basically what it means is there's conflicting requirements. So you want two things, but they each say if you do this, you can't do the other.
I cannot do that.
And so you gotta find a creative solution. So we're still working on exactly what's going to happen, but I think people will. It's also important to note that it's whatever we do decide on, at least initially, is not set in stone. Like, if we're like, this is our trading system, and we get a ton of feedback, and people are like, this sucks, and here's why. Like, after trying it, most specifically, is that like, we're not afraid to change things. So if it's not good enough, it's not living up to the standards, we can accept that it needs to be changed if it needs to be changed. How will you handle arena leaderboards with multiplayer versus single player online? Don't know yet. Sorry. Hey, just got Epoch a few days ago and been loving it. Awesome. Between playing and streaming it, just a great time. Thanks for such a great gaming experience. Excited to see what comes to the next patch. Glad you're having fun. Just Philip. Is the game still beta or is it out now? Technically, we are still in beta. Early access on Steam. We're pretty good, though. I think as far as early access games go, I feel like we're probably like, I think we're doing pretty well. As far as we're not quite at the quality level we want yet, or the content completion yet that we want, which is why we're still in early access. There's arguments to be made that we could have technically like released already and said like multiplayer's not out yet or something like that, but I don't think it would have been I think it would have been disingenuous to do that. I don't remember what I was buying. Not buying. I don't remember what I was picking up in here. Oh, it's probably this. Yeah. Come with me, and you'll see your death be very quick and painless. You'll get zapped with a blast. That's shocking and quite aimless. Haha! Nailed it. It's my addition tape for Whose Line? Wayne, I'm coming for your job. Nah, just kidding. Alright, next question after that nonsense. So does Unity changes impact Last Epoch in any way? The new CEO made a deal with a virus company. It really has almost no effect on us whatsoever. There won't be any, as a result of this happening, there won't be any like major changes to the Last Epoch. There's no requirements for us to use anything. Like, there's not a lot. Like we don't even use the same. Like we don't even use the most up to date version of Unity, really. So even if they did put changes in and force it on people for things, we'd still have the version we're using. I don't think it's a big deal. I read about this all last week and was expecting a lot of questions last week about it actually, and someone mentioned it, I think. But no, there's almost no impact on it, and I don't foresee this having a very big impact on Unity as a whole at all, anyways. I also don't know much about the situation. I do know that a lot of the articles that I read about it initially were kind of misquoting to make it seem worse than it was. Not they were right quotes, but they were like really selectively quoting, you know, where it's like it's technically true, but you cut off a few words at the start and a few words at the end, and you lose the context, and it's sort of like, okay, yeah, but no. Ooh, taste the blood. But I do not pretend to be an expert on the matter. I know someone who's applied for a job at Unity recently. No idea if they've got it or not. Haven't talked to them in months. It's not a bad wand. Some interesting gloves. Some fun stuff there. Are there plans to make shards auto go into the forge? No. Having to push that button just seems very unnecessary. Yeah, we're trying to make them feel like items, really. And auto go into the forge takes that away a lot. That's a short answer to that question. Can we please be able to dual wield wands? We actually very intentionally do not dual wield wands. So it's, I'd say, unlikely to do so. You really want that IK? It is a small idea, but would love it. Yeah. I would say it's unlikely to happen anytime soon. It could, you never know. It could happen eventually. Who knows? But 1.0, very unlikely, I'd say. Can people hear that airplane through my headset? I need the noise canceling software to work again, but when I turn it on, it makes the headset not work. I wonder if Streamlabs actually has that built in. I'd be surprised if it did. Some big numbers that pop up when you get like the when the stars align on this build. Love it. All right, yeah, you're in, but I don't need that. Don't know why I pick those up at all. It's just a force of habit picking those up, and I don't know why I do it, because I don't need them. Like, yeah. Get that XP, though. You do need that. Is there a target number of uniques per slot or per item type for launch? No, and I think it's, so we very intentionally don't put specific numbers like that on things, because we don't want to be like, we don't want to ever be in a situation where we have, maybe we have 15 one-handed swords, unique one-handed swords, and say 7 unique one-handed axes. And they're pretty similar what roles they fill, a little bit different here and there. And maybe we have a great idea for a unique sword. We're like, oh yeah, this is a unique sword we want to put in. We're like, we have more than double the unique swords and axes. Let's hold off on putting this sweet sword in so we can do more axes. And then sit there being like, can't think of any good axes to put in. And it puts us, we'd rather just be like, let's make items that we think are really cool. Sometimes we'll look at it as a whole and say like, this one's really lagging far behind. Let's try and brainstorm some ideas for this slot, because this one's lagging so far behind the other ones. And that's more what it is. It's just sort of a like, make what you think's gonna be sweet, and then if we find, if you notice some really big gaps, try and fill those if we can. I think it's worked pretty well. It definitely, especially in beta, we're a lot more lax on things like that, because we're still like developing all sorts of stuff, and maybe there's items we have planned. Maybe there's like a mastery class where we're like, oh, this is gonna have a sweet item that's gonna go here in this slot, but we can't release it until this mastery class gets released. Or we've got a sweet item that's gonna go with a rework of this skill, but we can't release it until the skill gets reworked. There's things like that that happen. An example of that being the unique chestplate I was referring to earlier. Don't forget to put at Last Epoch Game in your question if you want me to see it, but I do see this one because it's the first time chat and it highlights it. Is already out the multiplayer? No. We do have our community tester program in multiplayer right now. That's live right now, so any of our CTs could be playing multiplayer if they wanted. We hit CCU that was significantly higher than our previous high on CCUs, which was great. Concurrent users, so like simultaneous people playing, which is the mark of like how stable the servers are at larger and larger numbers, is really important. Things have been going well so far. There's still lots of stuff to do. I think a few people that joined the CT program didn't believe us and were like, "There's still a lot to do," but we're starting to test it. There's still a lot to do. I think a few people were like, "Oh my god, there's still a lot to do." I think a lot of them were expecting it to just be like finished and ready to go, and we were just holding back because we were scared or something. But no, there's a lot to do still. There's a lot of funny things left that sometimes you wouldn't think would be an issue, where you're like, well, it works in single player, why doesn't it work in multiplayer? Like channeling abilities don't work still. They're real close. They're so close to working fully. There's a few quirks. Weird things like zone transitions while channeling cause weird issues. Like you whirlwind into or whirlwind warpath into like a zone transition. What happens, right? Some weird stuff happens. I had a heck of a time. I think there's still a bug actually in the game where if you are rampaging on the werebear, as you go, when you start rampaging on the werebear, his eyes turn red. There's like these red glowing like fire trails on the eyes. It looks really cool. But if you zone transition while that's going, the eyes don't disappear when you get to the next zone. There's still like glowy eyes in the next zone. And then if you use another ability, they go away or something. So it's just like this brief, or like as soon as you start walking, they go away. It's like it's only there for a split second, but like, you know, it's there. Am I just going the wrong way? I can't remember where to go. Let's go. Let's play. Start of the Thomas and Friends theme song. All right. What do you on the deck that your game is an inferior alternative compared to Lost Ark? It's a tough question to answer. I'm going to disagree with the premise first off. Oh, look at that. That's nice. I'm going to disagree on the premise right off the bat because I think they're trying to accomplish very different things. And I would say sit in like very similar genres but are slightly different. Also, one of those games is released and one of them is not. But yeah, I guess I'll just have to disagree with the premise. That's all I have to say about it. Is every skill able to ignite? Yes. There might be some situations where you can take a skill that like prevents it from being able to ignite. Like there might be some specific setups where you can make a skill not able to ignite, but you have to like take nodes specifically designed to do that. Will we ever be able to dual wield wands? Maybe. Unlikely anytime soon. Oh, just realized it's a big delay. Yeah, sorry. The delay is not actually that big. I'm just slow. Isn't cursed just the opposite of based? Also, I'm going to campaign about the trading system. Oh, complain about the trading system without trying it, no matter what it is, as a custom. Wonderful. Yeah. I don't know if you're joking or not. Do you have a general rule on how the same buffs will stack in a party, like having 4 paladins with Holy Aura, for example? Yeah, it's a little bit weird. Right now, I'm pretty sure. So Holy Aura is busted as in multiplayer right now. It's so strong because what it does right now is it combines them. So if you have 2 people with opposite parts of the tree, where like one person's like, so it will only take, it'll take the most recently applied of each type of stat from each person, is the way it works right now. This could very well change. Probably will change, I think. So if one person's Holy Aura gives, I'm just going to use random stats. I have no idea if these stats are actually on Holy Aura right now or not, but say one Holy Aura gives health, all res, and strength. And another Holy Aura gives intelligence and vitality and strength. So you got this like strength overlap here. And one of them gives 5 strength and one of them gives 10 strength. So what I think happens right now is you basically always have those other 4 stats I said, and then you just have the most recently applied strength stat. And it applies every half second or every third of a second or something like that. So you'll just like flick back and forth between 5 and 10 strength added from it. I think is the way it's working right now. But I could be wrong. And we're still working on it, so. The general rule of thumb for most similarly applied buffs is the most recent one wins. So if there's 2 buffs that, and this only applies to named buffs. And I use the term named buffs as like a term, and what I mean by that is, if a node says, whenever you cast a fire spell, gain 10 armor. That won't be a named buff because it stacks, right? So it'll just be every time you use it, you just get that thing, no matter what, doesn't matter. But basically anything that doesn't stack won't stack in a group setting either. So things where it's like, if you've cast a fire skill in the last 4 seconds, you have plus 100 armor. Casting a second fire skill doesn't give you 200 armor. It just resets the timer on that. That's what I mean by a named buff. It's something that will overwrite itself when you get a new version of it. And thank you very much, Viper34J, for the Twitch Prime sub. And also thank you for Arrowweird, who's resubbed for 8 months in a row with Yay Oceans. Yay Oceans is right. Glad to have you both with us. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. Hope you're enjoying hanging out, asking some questions, which I'm going to do better to get through, because I think I'm behind a fair bit right now. Here we go. Oh, my build is wrong too, isn't it? On last week's build, sorry. I did not prepare well for today. Just a mess. Just a mess. On the plus side, finished an awesome project for multiplayer today. So that's really, really happy times. Will it ever be possible to be able to throw daggers via some skill or mod? Complain about dual wielding too. Compliant with dual wielding too. Sorry, my bad. I read that wrong. So we really intentionally try to make throwing abilities like you're not throwing the actual ability. And I know we have like there's a node in javelin and in shield throw that does make it like you're throwing the ability. So like yeah, that's a possibility. We haven't until now, and it's been pretty intentional that we haven't until now. There's the way it's generally balanced is that there is a lot of different ways that you can build javelin to where it's not focused on the hit damage specifically, whether it's more based on like the lightning trails, or you're like you're mostly applying ailments, things like that. Like there's a lot of things where it's not about the initial hit, so you can use non-spear weapons to play with it really nicely. And then the shield throw one has the downside of it takes away all your block when you throw your shield. Like you just can't block at all. So there's sort of in-tree balancing effects or downsides to it when we do have something like that. Oh, that's funny. Another humming bee. Rain dance. Yeah, it's cool. I had forgotten about those boots. Completely forgotten about them. But yeah, like this is the problem. So I'm trying to answer this as like a hypothetical situation if it could happen. And like, will it ever be possible to do X? Probably not, but maybe, or probably, but I don't know. Are kind of like the two answers I can give there. It's always just maybe. Ever's a long time. I guess it's the best way I can say that. Are you planning on some sort of hideout? Not initially, at least. We do want like main towns to become player hubs and places where you can like hang out and talk and see other people and kind of help the world feel alive. And hideouts can be a really good way to let you have sort of alternative activities to do, customizing your hideout, things like that. And there's a lot of fun there, a lot of things you can like earn through like as like rewards for races, or just like completing achievements or certain quests. You know, like there's all sorts of stuff you can do to have cool stuff for hideouts in the game. We're not planning it for 1.0 specifically because it does take people out of that communal area and will make the game feel less alive in general in multiplayer. But also just because it's a lot of extra work and an extra feature that we don't have time to implement by 1.0. That's the real main reason. It's just we don't have the time to get it in. Anything that's actually going to hit with 1.0 at this point better be a really important feature. It better be like, oh yeah, you need that. Or else, I don't know why I went this way. I should just turn back here. I just saw enemies and I'm like, oh yeah, they gonna get got. And they got got. It was like a loop around and I could have just kept going and been fine. Alrighty, next question here. Can we expect some of the unreleased mastery when multiplayer is released? No, you can expect the mastery classes by 1.0 at the latest. That's all the information I have. It might come there, it might come later, it might come anytime between now and 1.0, inclusive. From Steam. Oh, we have Steam chat questions too? I should have that open, shouldn't I? That's cool. Right, Rin Tin Tin. Welcome from Steam Chat. Glad to have you with us. I'm sorry I don't look at Steam Chat. My bad. I don't know. Thank you, Kane, for checking that. I appreciate it a lot. I don't know if this question was already done, and it's okay if it was. When do you plan to implement something like transmog into the game? I would. We don't have a specific timeline on anything like that yet, unfortunately. Ooh, I can do this, can't I? I like 1.0 at the earliest. So New Masters are 1.0 at the latest. Transmog is 1.0 at the earliest.
Yes. Eterra's grace be with you.
What is the sweet spot in terms of power distribution of a character between passive skill trees, items, and skills for Last Epoch? That's a really difficult question to answer. Great question. Real tough to answer. I'll take a shot at it though. I think that there's some feelings that I'd like to hit with it. One of those feelings is level breakpoints. So what that means is certain points in the leveling process where you're like, I really want to hit level 50 because I know that something awesome happens at level 50. Games that do this really well. WoW does this unbelievably well with like mounting, like mounts. Ooh, I don't remember the levels to get mounts at anymore. But you're like, oh, I need to hit 30 to get my mount. Oh, I need to hit 50 to get my fast mount. Oh, I need to hit 70 to get flying mounts. Probably way off on those numbers. I'm sorry. and like you really push for those levels because when you do hit it, you're like, that's a sweet bump. It's this jump that happens. So we try and get that a little bit with new skills to unlock at higher levels specifically, which is tied kind of sideways with passives. So it doesn't necessarily always happen on level up, and it's always the same level because of how many passive quests you do, or if you split into multiple skill trees as you're leveling or not. But that's one of the ways we try and push that a little bit. And I know that kind of links in with passives instead of skills there, but that's something, that's one sort of feeling moment we try and hit is that. And and a lot of that power is coming from just having new skills available. As far as end game power distribution goes, I think a lot of what we're hoping you're getting power from is items. And I know that's not the case right now. It is skewed too heavily towards skills, for sure. And we try and build ways into... The goal is to build ways into the skills themselves so that it changes changes the effect that your items have on them. And like it's more the goal from a power perspective to have power come from items and most functionality come from the skill trees themselves. And then having passives work as more of an overall character archetype, more enabling things. Now that doesn't mean that there can't be unique effects that come from passives, and there can't be power that comes from skill trees or anything like that. Because we want sort of like a little bit of everything with everything. Just gonna let that. Probably just go kill it, but I could still be attacking it, couldn't I? Yeah, I should have just attacked it. That was dumb. Anyways, as far as the distribution goes, I'm kind of rambling, because I'm stalling for time a little bit here as I think. As far as the distribution I goes from that sweet spot as power goes, I think that items should have the most. I'm going to say skills and skill trees, lumping that as one thing, should be the second most, and passives should probably be the third most. Maybe passives and skills interchangeable based on the build. But the important thing is items should have the most, I think, of raw power coming from them. Will the devs add some world background narrative cutscenes to Last Epoch? Yes. I think that a background story describing the world, gods, power struggles, etc. would be very helpful in painting the picture for Eterra. I completely agree, and we're working on it. Thanks for implementing the system that detects if I'm not being responsive or if I'm working on the forge or skill trees. Seems like the towers that shoot AoEs at me in Mono stop shooting too until I start playing again. Yes, that is a recent feature that I'm quite pleased with. It's not perfect. There's a few times where we're like, this is still an issue in this like weird edge case, but for the most part it works really well. And it was specifically designed with the monos in mind, that like went with the spires. The spire monoliths was the primary incentive for that. I don't know what happened. This guy got stuck over here. Got him. Pebbles. What a funny little item.
I am not a man of many pockets.
I love that voice line so much. I'm not a man of many pockets. Love it. Love it. Does Monolith XP scale up as you get further from the center? By Monolith XP, I think you mean stability. Like this bar up here? Yes, it does. So if we look at this one right here, this one gets 23 timeline stability. But then if we come back to the center, this one gives 10 timeline stability. And then up to 22 bonus. The bonus also goes up, I think. Up to 48. So yeah, it's like double at this point. So yeah, if you're trying to rush, like boss rush a bunch, the best way to do that is to get as far from the center as you can in a straight line. I think that's the most efficient way. How are we looking for high-end GPU optimization, big stability updates coming for 0.9, hopefully outside of FPS performance? They kind of go, those two things kind of go hand in hand. Part of the problem, so little of what's causing issues is actually GPU issues. Oh, really? Let's get out. But we are working on that as a whole, and they do come together simultaneously. So it's I don't know specifically. I don't have numbers that I can share with you. But it is better than it was. I'll tell you that much. Did I really? Oh yeah. Crushing it. Did he move too far? Yeah, I got room still. That's the thing about this fight. He can move slightly, and you can get to a point where there's nowhere to go in the one direction you're trying to go. And like you're like, I'm as far as I can go, and he's just like pushed it into a corner. And you don't have time to run around to the other side. He dies, right? I think so. Alright, what do we got? Poison? Ugh. Poison? Ugh. Crit avoidance? Yeah! Soulfire Bastion Key. Dragon Comedic, that's a cool item. I do like that item. Will it be possible to convert daggers from melee to thrown, LS spear to javelin for sentinel? Maybe. I don't know if this is re-asking if I've forgot if that's like further down or something. Mike is a saint for even answering that. Oh, I wonder which question that was. Do you feel that you are happy with the current passive skill trees for each of the classes, or do you think there's changes coming for them? Oh yeah, there's definitely changes coming for them for sure. So I want to answer yes to that whole question because yes, I'm very happy with them. Yes, I definitely want to see changes to them. I think they're ever evolving. There's new things coming in all the time. We develop new techniques for them. We add new technology that we can use in the back end to change how they work. There's a great example in the I don't think there are any in this tree yet. Let's see any. I don't think there's any in here. There's something that we're calling milestone passives. That's wrong. Crap. Can't remember what they are. After you have enough points in the node, it says like at 5 or more points, you get this extra boost. So it'll be like maybe like +1 strength per point, but at 5 points, you get +1 to all stats. It's just like a little extra boost. And threshold nodes, nailed it. And so we're adding. We added a bunch of those in when we did the druid passive and the whole druid class rework. And so we're starting to sprinkle those in elsewhere into other classes, and as we do some reworks and some other passive trees, I do think that Sork needs some love in their passive tree for sure. And then as we add in the masteries, like as you add in Rune Master, so we look at the base section of a tree in the context of this is the Sorcerer, Rune Master, Spellblade nodes. They're primarily the Sorcerer nodes, but Rune Master and Spellblade do get access to these. And so when Rune Master comes in, we need to relook at the lower Sorcerer nodes and the lower Spellblade nodes in the context that Rune Master can also have access to them. And then we also need to look at the entire, like the Spellblade upper nodes and the Sorcerer upper nodes and the lower nodes as well of all of them, in the context that suddenly they now have access to the lower Rune Master nodes as well. So just the context of what's available changes everything that needs to be looked at. And as we're going in, especially adding new masteries, we're going to be looking at all the other trees in there as well, just as a whole. So like the rogue trees, the acolyte trees, and the mage trees will all get decent looks when their mastery comes in. And then they'll also get just looks in general as well as we do other things. And the other ones are I'm not suggesting the other ones are done by any means either. They'll all get changes. But there's just more things that will passively cause us to look at other things as well. Are you hiring? Yes, we are hiring. There is a hiring careers page. I'm just literally Googling 11th Hour Games careers and seeing what comes up. Yeah, just do that. And, yeah, or Last Epoch game careers or whatever. Yeah, Google it. It's the SEO's good. It's the first result. There's specific postings we have listed. There are specific postings we have listed. And then, like we do get like just cold call requests, I guess, sometimes, where like someone's just, I don't know what to call them. Someone's just like, I think I'd be a really good fit in this role, and here's why. And we look at them. It's rare that results in us hiring someone, but it has happened. If we're not specifically looking for a role. You know what? Let's go do a Soulfire Bastion. If I've got the right things unlocked, I hope I do. Oh, brief moment.
Hey, get to chat.
Oh, here's a couple questions here. Still possible to apply for multiplayer? Yeah, it's still possible to apply. I know we've slowed down the intake. Someone gave me a sweet response that I can say to these questions, so I'm just going to read the response. Where's that response? Here we go. We have finished processing applications and sent out invites for the current series of CT tests. We'll be continuing to expand multiplayer testing leading up to 0.9.0, so don't entirely forget your email and keep an eye out for other opportunities if you're interested in participating in alpha tests. Haha! Thank you, Daedalus. Wonderful. Looks like Daedalus has gifted 5 subs to the channel. Congrats to anyone who got one of those. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. Drink lots of water. And another question from some random person who just wandered in off the street. MoxJet200 asks, when are we going to see the Beekeeper set? I can't wait forever, Mike. I haven't been told I can show it. Come to my teasers thread in Discord and let me know I can post it, and I will. Mike tells us he finished a project, and you tell you what the project is. Okay, it doesn't seem awesome at all. I was redoing the login flow, so just like when you first boot up the game, how the process of like turning the game on to I can pick a character now, that flow, just redoing that. That's it. A lot of error messages and things like that. You can put an idle clicker in the hideouts. Yep. You can put an idle clicker in the hideouts. Idle clickers blow my mind that they're a game. I've tried them. It didn't resonate super well with me, but like I get it. For the most part, I think. I'm gonna take a brief moment to share something that I printed that I think is really cool. I don't think I've shown this already. But yeah, it's a cube. Nondescript cube. And there's some treasures inside. Ooh. What's this? Ah. A little. Ooh. And one more. I hope they're big enough to see. Ah. It's quite confusing. It shouldn't probably exist. No one can explain it. Why do games launch with some video settings adjustments the user can choose from, but not audio? I wish games would start muted in the first option to move the slider from 0 with continuous audio running, so the user can increase it until it reaches comfortable level. Audio balancing is just as unknown of a variable as video options like brightness. Too many games have blasted my ears when launching. It's not healthy or fun. I agree. I'm pretty sure that we launch at 50% volume right now. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about Civ 6, is that you start it up and it's just like, I'm not going to hit it because it'll blow your ears out. WoW is a bad example because the rest of the sentence goes 70 for flying mount, then 80 for flying mount, then 90 for flying mount. Yeah, okay. Let me rephrase that. Early 2000s WoW is a good example because there's lots of other good examples there too. Maybe a better example would be Diablo 2, because you unlock skills at, like, you get Blizzard at 30. No, you don't. You get Frozen Orb at 30. Right? You froze it over 30. I was right in the correction. Sweet. Okay, cool. You know what I mean, though. The point still stands, I think. Suggestion: branch highlighting for better timeline navigation. Slightly dim the branches unrelated to the currently selected node. Also, search field for the echo, please. We do that, like that dim that you're talking about. That does happen. The ones you have access to, can choose from, are highlighted. Currently selected doesn't have any that are like extra highlighting yet. That might be an idea. Search, we pretty intentionally don't have a search there. It's possible it could happen one day. But right now it's very intentionally not a search. That is a suggestion we do get, not infrequently though, so I mean, the more frequently we get suggestions, the more likely we are to do it. Am I just gonna shred through this? I might just shred. Let's go! Big bada boom. Big bada boom. Where are we going? Let's go this way. Next question. How do you handle certain skills or nodes where a party setting, where in a party setting they might overperform, but a single player it works well? Let's say Holy Aura as an example. Yeah, it's a very tricky problem. You're absolutely right. They're all on a case by case basis. Holy Aura is a tricky one, and it's on the list of things to make changes to right now. I think what'll happen is we'll get a little bit more power focus on yourself with it, so it'll help things, or there'll be nodes where it's like there'll be more emphasis on yourself. I think is what might happen. Could be wrong on this one. This is sort of this huge speculation. But I think I think the key thing is that they don't just straight overlap when you have or double up when you have two of them running. That's the most important part, I think, really. Because we want people to be able to find synergies, to help each other out, to improve each other as you're playing together. Like that's the sort of stuff that we'd like to promote being possible. I think you get this sort of, in order to be perfectly optimal with more people, is a lot harder. So there's a lot more, there's a lot more that needs to be done to get multiple people to work together optimally than there is for you to just be able to control yourself optimally. So if there are mechanics and abilities or whatever that just intrinsically are better in multiplayer, it's not the end of the world, because there's sort of this like per person slight nerf that happens of just not being as optimal as 4 people individually playing than one person being able to optimize themselves. And then on top of that, the content does get harder when you get more people. So yeah, there's that as well. But sometimes just generally speaking, sometimes we'll put caps on the amounts of things that'll happen. So if it's like something that you're stacking up together, like what's a good example? Shred, armor shred. Or not armor shred's a bad example, but fire resistance shred is a good example. So there's a maximum amount of stacks of fire resistance shred, which I think is 20. So if everyone brings a lot of fire resistance shred, it stacks up faster, and it's really great because everyone's applying fire damage and there's synergies there. But there's that same cap. You're never going to get more fire res shred total in a multiplayer setting than you are in a single player setting, because there's a hard cap on it. And we try, I know there's all these things that conflict with each other, because we try and avoid hard caps wherever we can, because generally speaking, they're less interesting when things are hard capped. And there's times where it's not, and yada yada yada. But so that's why it's all on a per case basis. So we have this set of tools to work with, and how do we use those and pick and choose features to make the system as a whole work nicely. We'll get out of that. You're an angry elf, aren't you? I'm gonna stand in this for fun. Just getting a nice tan. Alright. Can we squeak through? We can squeak through. little maze there to navigate. All right, next question. Any chance we can choose an old, previously picked blessing at a boss? There's no plans for that currently, but there's always a chance. Never say never. Again, great movie. It would reduce the uncertainty of going back to an older build and spending hours getting unlucky. Right now, it's probably faster to level a new character per build than swapping around. Yeah, there's some things like that it's tricky to navigate still, and it's not off the table. It's not currently planned. Yeah, I have come to play with fire. Got him.
The fire rises.
Some cool stuff there. $3.99. I'm gonna be left with some awkward number because of that.
Fancy a deal. Fantastic work. Formosus will clatter with delight when I give him my report.
Thank you.
Now about those soul embers. Care to let me see your hole, friend?
Yeah. What should I go for? Let's get some random stuff for fun. Let's go with a pair of gloves. Right.
Oh, lucky
Might be
you.
sweet. Apparently, I don't like gloves right now. So let's get a Sorry relic.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah.
Nice one. Nice one.
54 boots. Boots, why not?
Yeah, lucky you.
So decent, not great. Ours are definitely better. Yeah, that's okay. Let's go tackle Lightless Harbor. If only someone could post that statement regarding CT multiplayer testing on the forums or something. Oh, you mean on the CT forums?
You hear me?
About it being not finished yet? Oh, the statement I read out. Yeah, I should probably post that. Did you skin the Joth Bear? Yeah, I did. I got the pelt, drained the back, it rubbed its brains all over the inside. Say 10 hides. I did not do that, by the way. I would struggle with every second of that horribly. I don't know why I'm doing this. Drop these on the ground. Let's go. 88. That's going to be tough. I'm going to die. Let's go. Oh, you know what? I've got some fun little stuff to share. Oh, that's... image is like 8 times the size of the previous one that was there. Let's do it big. Why not? Come on. Alright. Here we go. Here's a new unique item model that's just recently finished. Mercs360 says, I bought Last Epoch a few months ago, but started to play lately. I admire the job you're doing with the game. I hope everything will go just fine before release. Me too. Thanks, bud. Frozen over 30. I was right. Yes. Wow, current talents would be actually a good leveling example. Okay, cool. I haven't paid much attention to the current system that WoW uses. I know it's changed a lot recently. I assume it's gotten better. Are there any environmental hazards like the Aether, Fire, and Grim Dawn in the game currently? Yes, you actually just saw me playing with some. I know that this question's lagged, so it wasn't there when I was doing it probably. Outside of the obvious telegraphed ones during the boss fights, might have missed that one. Yeah, there's environmental hazards. The like when you're in the Soulfire Bastion, the ground has grates where it like shoots fire up at you, and it's like how you tutorialize using the D ability, the extra ability you get from the dungeon, because you have to switch in order to get through that safely because there's so much fire hazard. Is the goal for party power scaling to be linear or non-linear? I.e., a group of 4 does roughly 4 times as much damage to of a single player, or is it more like a group of 4 is doing 6 to 7 or even 8 times as much damage of a single player due to synergies? I don't have a good answer for you, Everest. I'm sorry. I would suggest that I'm gonna. Please don't quote me on this, even though I know you will. That's okay. Not you specifically, but just anyone. And what I think it will be is a party playing together. That's like you've designed your party to work well together. You're probably in voice communication with each other to coordinate properly. You're really trying to optimize yourself as a party together. You'll probably be I would say non-linear. I think non-linear is what you'll end up with. The more people in your party, the harder it is to coordinate everyone together. But if you're able to coordinate everyone together really well, you'll probably start to see slightly more than linear improvements. So I don't think it'll be. I think 8 times would be very excessive, and I think we'd start to see design changes happening to rectify the situation at 8 times. And I'm very much speculating still here, so these numbers could be wildly off. But I have a feeling that 8 times would be a like, uh-oh, we gotta fix this type number. I know 4 is the baseline there, so yeah. I don't know exactly what it would be. I would expect non-linear, but a real soft non-linear. You know? I think if you grab, yeah, okay. Here's the other half of that. I think that if you're just like, 4 people doing their own thing, completely ignoring everyone else, just rolling, you'd get into like a negative multiplier. So instead of it being 4 times one person's damage, which would be the baseline, it would be like, I don't know, 3 times. So it's like you're like slightly worse because it's harder in multiplayer because you're just like possibly actively working against each other. Like maybe one person has something that's like it like consumes ignites off the target, and one person is like does more damage based on the number of ignites on the target, and so one person's just like actively nerfing another person, you know, like just incidentally. And I think if no one was trying to coordinate at all, that would happen every once in a while. So you'd get that sort of negative scaling. Negative's the wrong word. I don't know how the best way to describe it. Hope that makes sense. I believe the D2 solution of giving your party only part of the stats Holy Aura was a good solution of personal investment versus synergy. Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward one. And you can tweak party combos separately. Hey Mike, any plans on adding random events or quests inside Monoliths or stuff like loot goblins? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can I give you details on what those look like and when they're going to be there and how they're going to work? No. Do I think it's the biggest thing missing in Monoliths right now? Oh yeah. Do I think it's more important than randomized level generation? Oh yeah. Do we have specific detailed plans on how it's going to work? Nah. But yes, some sort of system where, and technically we kind of already have this. But I can understand why it might not seem like it. Shrines are technically that. You get... Oh my god. I'm sorry. I've been playing through a lightless arbor with the screen covered. My bad. Where are we here? It just goes to show it doesn't really matter what I'm doing on stream. It's more about the talking. What was I talking about? Random events, super important. Oh yeah, let's get some random events. Shrines being kind of like the base version of that. Yeah, they're kind of like the base version of that. It's like the super most basic version of that possible. Doesn't really count. But it's kind of close enough that it's similar-ish. Yeah, reasons to explore inside Monoliths is really important, and it's something we're missing big time. It's not. That is the most lukewarm take of all time. Sorry about the noob streamer mob in there. It was pretty cool, though, right? About aura stacking, how about make a pool of shorts? A pool of shorts where every party member in close vicinity to each other contributes something to that pool. And then this pool is applied to everyone in the party. I mean, that's kind of what happens now, basically. And it's a little too synergistic. Like a group of a group of 4 paladins is incredibly good. Even just 2 paladins, you can get most of the tree with 2 paladins. I mean, that might be a good example of, like, when you're working together nicely and synergizing properly to, like, it'll have a bonusing effect, but if you're not, it won't. So, like, if you've got, like, you think of the total number of skills you have access to in a group play situation, and the power, assuming that each one gives a roughly equivalent amount of power, which I know it doesn't. But just to simplify the situation a little bit, and if you're using 2 of those skills on Holy Aura, instead of just being efficient to try and get everything to satisfy what everyone needs in the party, instead of having just 1 Holy Aura and having everyone in the party be able to take advantage of the same nodes in Holy Aura, you're using up an extra skill slot as like a party skill slot, reducing the overall efficiency. Where are we going? Let's get another question here. Alright, Killer Heart 12345 asks, "Hey Mike, hope all is well." Thanks, it is going great. Just a question, at any point why there are forges across the map when we can simply press F to open the crafting menu? Yeah, absolutely, great question. The forges are there specifically to help tutorialize that forges exist. So there's early on we got a lot of feedback that like I had no idea that I could open the forge, that there was a forge there at all. So like we have quests now that let you use the forge. We have tutorial pop-ups that talk about the forge. And it's just another way to be like to have someone just who maybe hasn't noticed this and ignored the quests and just hasn't done anything with it, and they happen to just like click on one, and it's just another way to get people into the system to help introduce it is all. We did toy around a little while early on. We toyed around with ideas about having crafting being better in town at these forges, or having certain crafting options available. Like, for example, something we considered at one point was having like you can shatter items at forges for gold, for a cheap gold cost, but it's less effective. So you like you take a bunch of items that you're like, I want some stuff out of these, but they're not like super great shatter targets because I'm low on shattering stones, and I'm just gonna like shatter a whole bunch of these back to back to back with cash instead, and see how that goes. Oh, do you think that the game at this state is too easy when you know what you're doing with the build? Yeah, I think there are points that become too easy. Yes. And I think that it's really easy to get into a state where you're really good at certain parts of it, and it's caused it's I don't know why I'm attacking that. I don't know why I'm attacking that either. It's caused. Oh! I knew it was there. I knew it was coming. I went to get out of the way. Oh. Oh, Mike. I got talking. Came quicker than I expected. Making excuses now.
Hey there. Want to try your luck?
No. I failed horribly at my luck. It's okay. It's exactly what happened last time I went in there. I could have got out of it, and I just failed. Let's go do a Temporal Sanctum. I don't know if I have any good legendaries to make, but we'll make something. And as always, no, not as always, but we got a death, so I'll slap a little summon up on the screen. This one's not covering half my screen, so I can leave it up there. Haha. Learning from your mistakes. Level 95. Ooh, that's should we try it? What level are we even? 84. Whatever, let's give it a shot, see what happens. I'm probably not going to be able to do this. But, you know, having some fun with it, right? Too easy question was I was trying to answer. I was in the middle of answering a question about the game being too easy if you like know what you're doing. So yeah, I think there are there's some key points along the way to getting to the really hard content that I think it is too easy for a lot of experienced players. And I think this possibly loops into the yeah. There's a few things that this connects with, but I would say
Intruders? A waste of time.
we need more ways to be able to, I guess, customize the play experience as you're going, as you're leveling, as you're getting into early monoliths. More ways to be able to like take risks, making it harder for either speed up rewards or power rewards, or like ooh, there's a lot. Let's go this way. Hello. Tattered journal. See, stuff like that like getting it to like speak to you, I think will be really good. Like getting stuff like that voice acted, I think will be a big step forward. Alright, at least there aren't builds that actively work against each other, thinking builds of PoE needing different curses or increasing, decreasing certain resistances. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And we like, there's some stuff kinda like that a little bit, but it's pretty few and far between with us. And I'm sure as we get more mechanics working together, as we get more systems built on top of each other, you'll start to see more and more things like that. I think. Quiet for me asks, are you guys ever afraid to overbalance? I don't think so. But maybe like the WoW devs aim for 1% balance between all classes, which they never meet. So it creates a bad feeling between top end and lower end, and cause a rift between community gameplay goals and developer balance goals. Overbalance. Balance is a huge topic that I love. I'm debating if I want to go into a diatribe or not, if I want to just do a short answer or a ramble, so to speak. I think that there's really positive things in having imbalance in certain situations.
How is this possible? Only I should be able to command time here.
And
Unless...
you might wonder, like, how, why, I don't have time to, 15 minutes, I don't have time to talk about this in depth enough to like do this topic justice, really. I think that it's really important to have the game be fun, which I know is kind of a nothing statement and obvious, but I think that forcing everything to be exactly as powerful as everything else can sometimes mean that nothing feels powerful. Where does the feeling of power come from? Usually it's from improvements or differences from other things. So you're like, I shoot fireball at the darkness and it does 10 damage, and then I level up, and when I shoot fireball at the darkness next time it does 20 damage. And I know this isn't a balance point, but that's what I'm getting to. It's just that increase, that change from the first thing to the second thing, is what makes it feel like you've increased in power. And and that's like the most basic example of what this is really. But having two builds that perform identically, and you go from one to the other, the only thing that's really changing is how they feel to play. So you end up with this system of, if everything was absolutely perfectly balanced, you end up with this system of, well, everything's powerful because everything is the same power level, or just nothing's powerful because there's no way to get any increase by changing. So there needs to be imbalances from build to build. Now the WoW stuff is I think more talking about class to class, and there's I think less builds per class in WoW than there are in Last Epoch, and a lot of that has to do with the style of game that it is. Like a holy priest in WoW only really has a couple builds at most. Like there's probably one like holy priest build that everyone runs, and I'm sorry if I'm just like wrong about that. But I likely think I'm not far off. Like maybe there's two, maybe there's three. There's a dozen great Spellblade builds out there. Yeah, some of them are probably stronger than others. Okay, here we go. We're gonna try this. Oh no, Rocky! Okay, I'm back. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm paying attention. I know which way is up. I know what day it is. The answers to those questions in order are 13 red and Celsius. I don't even know what's happening. What day is it? Balance. So we do try and aim for rough balance between classes, where there's like, okay, you're playing a Beastmaster, great, you can still handle end content. You're playing a sorcerer, great, you can still handle in-game content. And I think it's more about having having classes be viable than having them be perfectly balanced against each other. And then there's a whole question about how do you to define viability. And that goes on for a long time.
Escape is
I don't know, another question.
The future cannot be denied.
Oh, come on. We're just going. I tried to time shift, but the fight ended, and I thought I'd pressed the wrong key, but she was just dead. I was at so low health there. That was close. Okay, get that heart pumping. We did it! I'm proud of myself on that one. Where are we going to? Quite, I hope that answered your question good enough. I was kind of in the middle of boss fight. What power level do you people expect fully optimized parties to achieve? So something like 3 supports, 1 carry build. I do not think 3 supports, 1 carry builds will be very frequent for pushing top end content. Someone might super duper prove me wrong on that one. I think that won't be the norm. I think the norm will be more like most people will just run solo characters that play nice in a party, and then you'll get a few supports here and there sprinkled in. Is what I think will happen naturally. I could be super wrong about that, but we'll see. Don't forget to drink lots of water. Oh, this is the ice cream cone unique. don't have one. Someone tried to get one. Do we have any silly legendaries that we can make? Go woven flesh. A bone harvester. Okay, what is the build? What bow do I need for bow mage? Do I have anything that I can make for my bow mage next week right now? Where's what other ones are here? Rain of Winter and Morning Frost. Where is it? This one. Really? Where's the word winter in this? Is it in the, like... Yep, it's in the lore text. That's funny. I do have a Morning Frost. Oh, no LP though. Okay. Never mind. Oh, put that back. Let's just... We're gonna make a bone harvester. Let's make a fun bone harvester. Why not, right? Or a battle mage. Yeah, okay. Where's a good exalted for these? Yeah, we're doing that. That'll work, right? Oops. Same base type, right, Mike? I definitely was not the one to program that to work that way. That was definitely not me that spent hours on this to make this work. We're just gonna go for it. Let's just see what happens. I know it's a waste. I don't care. I'm sorry. Cool! Just having some fun with it. You know. Let's go back to our monolith. Are you planning to transfer power more towards the items? Yes. I think the more you invest your character, grind for rare and powerful, the more powerful you get. Yeah. Are you intending for party play to be on par with or ahead of solo players in terms of corruption pushing? I hope it's pretty similar. I hope people are adverse scaling. Yeah, that was the right word, Llama. Thank you. I think if party play and solo play is roughly similar, that would be ideal. A lot of it's going to have to be based on feedback of like what people want to see, what people are seeing, what people are finding fun. But I know people either really hate playing in parties or really love playing in parties. It's usually a pretty strong opinion one way or the other. And making that be fun for both sides of that coin is really important to us. So keeping it similar is ideal. I'm pretty sure we'll have split ladders for multiplayer and single player. I'd hope so. Still not 100% set on exactly what's going to happen yet, but I think it's a lot easier to make if there's a some sort of disparity there between how high corruption is pushing in parties versus solo play. I think it's much easier to justify that disparity if there is two different ladders. Because if it's just a system where you're like, well, you want to be on the ladder, you got to play in a party, or you want to be on the ladder, you got to play solo. That doesn't feel great. We're just going to switch to another item for the rest of the stream out there on the side. I don't remember any cases where you could work against each other outside of having 3 builds use shadow daggers and one person with the weakest damage always activates it. Yeah, there's another example. I think the example of consuming like you can consume bleeds on a target, and raptors they get bonus damage per bleed on a target. So if you're consuming the bleeds, your raptor's damage goes down. So one person could be doing one of those, and one person could be doing the other. Hello, guys. Hello. How are you? I don't know if I'll be able to explain myself. I believe in you. But what do you think about the current way power is distributed by the way normal magic and rare items? Because I think getting a rare item in this case should mean an improvement in some way, but right now, because they are based around the number of affixes, in a lot of cases I don't feel like it's really an improvement getting a rare over a magic item, for example. The general feedback we get is the exact opposite of this, actually. Especially in the sense that magic items, or rare items, come with more forging potential than magic items. So yes, it's possible to get a... it's less likely... Sorry, I'll look for this. When a magic item drops, it's less likely on that magic item that there's an affix you don't need. So it's less likely that there's like a wasted affix slot. However, with a rare item, there's like if you find the right rare item, it's going to be better because it's just the exact same thing as a magic item with an extra affix and more forging potential on it, so you can increase the levels of the affixes even more. So on average, the right magic item versus the right rare item is better. Continuing the skill set for aura stacking idea, the most problematic skills like the aforementioned holy aura could only be applied to their owners, whereas the parts which could benefit the party could go to the pool I mentioned. Yeah, that's another thing we've discussed too. Any thoughts on multi-spec, especially as it may be handy for group play versus solo? I see what you're saying. Really unlikely to have it. It's not impossible. Like I don't like to rule things out, but probably not. You could always just average all stats from stacking auras. For example, 10 strength, 5 strength, 2 auras come 7, 5 strength. Yeah, there's doing it efficiently is really important. And the math operation of average 2 numbers is not bad. But given that operation is happening very frequently over a large set of people, so it can't happen on the auras themselves. It has to happen on the when it's like triggered onto each player. It has to happen because you won't know so the first aura that goes out doesn't know that there's another aura out there in the world existing. And unless you're standing at exactly the same point, which is impossible, you'd be affecting potentially different targets. So some things would get affected by both and other things wouldn't. So the calculations for each split has to happen on each character. And in order to have it be responsive on joining and exiting the aura's radius, it's actually triggered pretty frequently. Holy Aura is constantly casting abilities. Like, constantly. Are you preparing for bot issues in multiple release? Yeah. One way to prepare for bot issues is there's a sticker price on the game. It's kind of an incidental... Oh, I forgot that makes a noise when I plug that in, sorry. It's kind of an incidental effect of having a sticker price. Definitely wasn't the reason. In regards to my previous question about random events in Monoliths, yes, good question. I was thinking how cool it would be to have rifts like the campaign in Monoliths. Yeah, this is not the first time I've seen this is not the 80th time I've seen this suggestion. So yeah, like in the campaign in Monoliths, that add an additional modifier and can increase stability even further, or have like a random thing in the monolith that we click on that spawns boss, like an illusion of Orbis, or that tries to kill us. If we survive, it drops something cool. Could something like this end up in the game? Something like that could end up in the game. I think I saw Perry the Pig suggested something like that on. Maybe it was Perry the Pig. Eesh. If someone else, I'm sorry. I thought it was him on a forum post recently. I think. I saw a Discord post by someone else who I didn't recognize their name about a month ago, I think, suggested something like this. I think there's someone on stream a couple weeks ago that said something like this. Like, yeah, this gets suggested a fair bit. I think it's on point. I think it's on theme. I think there's, like, it ties into other systems in the game, so we've tutorialized it already, which makes sense. It hits theming stuff with time travel. It's great. Oh, I've hit... Did I catch up? I caught up! And it's 3:01. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, we are right at the end of stream. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you had fun. I know I did. We'll see you next time. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for stopping out. Those two sentences, but half of them with each. If you have any more questions that I didn't get to, I apologize. Please head on over to our Discord, our Reddit, our forums, our in-game chat, our other channels. I accept smoke signals, but you got to be really close to me, so good luck with that one. Yeah.